Welcome to the channel. We will talk today about the Cameroon War, or the Cameroonian War of Independence. Cameroon is known as Africa in miniature for its geographic and cultural diversity, a nation that appears stable, a pillar of Central Africa. But this stability was born from one of the most brutal and forgotten conflicts of the decolonization era, a war that officially never happened. For nearly a decade, from 1955 to 1964, Cameroon was racked by a vicious civil war and counter-insurgency that claimed tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands, of lives. This is the story of the Cameroon War. Let us first talk about the roots of rebellion, colonialism, and the birth of the UPC. To understand the war, we must understand the colonial structure. Cameroon was a German colony until World War I, after which it was partitioned between France and Britain. French Cameroon was ruled with an iron fist, primarily for the profit of French companies, through a system of forced labor. In this oppressive environment, the Union de Population du Cameroun, or the Union of the Peoples of Cameroon, UPC, was founded in 1948. Led by the charismatic Ruben Umniobe, the UPC was unique. It was not just asking for independence, but it demanded immediate independence and reunification with the British Cameroons. The UPC's popularity soared, especially among the Bamileke and Bassa ethnic groups, who were disproportionately affected by colonial policies. France, fearing the spread of anti-colonial sentiment, branded the UPC a communist puppet and brutally suppressed it, forcing the party to go underground. Tensions exploded in 1955. The UPC, now banned, organized a series of protests and strikes that escalated into violent riots. The French response was swift and overwhelming: a violent crackdown, mass arrests, and the effective outlawing of the party. The UPC leadership fled to the British Cameroons, and the movement splintered into armed wings. The war became a classic asymmetric conflict. The Maquisards, or the guerrilla fighters, launched ambushes and assassinations against colonial officials and Cameroonians who collaborated with the French. The French, meanwhile, pursued a dual strategy: relentless military pursuit and a political solution. They began grooming a moderate Cameroonian leader, Ahmadou Ahidjo, promising a path to independence without the UPC. In 1960, France granted Cameroon independence, but with Ahidjo as president. For France, this was a calculated move. Ahidjo's government was packed with French advisors, and the Franco-Cameroonian agreements ensured French military and economic dominance continued. For the UPC, this was a sham independence. The war did not end, but it intensified, now as a civil war between Ahidjo's new regime, backed extensively by French troops, pilots, and intelligence, and the UPC guerrillas. The French counter-insurgency tactics were brutal, learned from their recent wars in Indochina and Algeria. They employed quadrillage, or grid searching of villages, forced population relocations into camps de regroupement, and systematic torture. The UPC rebels also committed atrocities, including assassinations and intimidation. The worst violence targeted the Bamileke population. Historians like Jacques Foucault, France's own Monsieur Afrique, and others estimate that tens of thousands, possibly over 100,000 Bamileke people, were killed in what some scholars have termed a forgotten genocide. One by one, the UPC leaders fell. Ruben Umniobe was killed by French forces in 1958. Félix Roland Moumié was assassinated by French Secret Service in Geneva in 1960. Ernest Ouandie, the last major leader, was publicly executed by the Ahidjo regime in 1971. By 1964, the rebellion was effectively crushed. Ahidjo established a one-party state that lasted for decades, maintaining a firm alliance with France. A strict policy of silence was imposed. The war was erased from school textbooks and public discourse. The legacy of this silence is profound. The trauma remains unaddressed for many communities. The political system born from the war has defined Cameroonian politics to this day, and for the international community, it remains a forgotten war, a stark example of France-Afrique, the system of French neo-colonial control in Africa. The Cameroon War is not just a historical footnote. It is a key to understanding modern Central Africa, the realities of decolonization, and the lengths to which colonial powers would go to maintain influence. Remembering this conflict is an act of giving voice to the countless victims whose stories were erased. It challenges the simple narrative of peaceful African independence and forces us to confront the brutal costs of empire even after the flags were lowered. What other forgotten histories should we explore? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you.